Thank you for volunteering with Lead to Read KC. You're part of the largest literacy volunteer corps in Kansas City. Whether you're a seasoned volunteer or new to our organization, this training is packed with useful information. This training was created to help you, one of our amazing volunteers, maximize the time you spend with your student. We'll be sharing best practices, tips, and techniques that you can use each week. Many of these tips came from your fellow volunteers and educators. This training will take about 15 minutes to complete, and it will cover 6 modules: attendance and check-in, getting started, effective reading support, engaging with your student, wrapping up the reading session, as well as mandated reporting and code of conduct. Thanks for supporting our mission to improve the basic reading skills of children in our urban core. Remember, when you teach a child to read, you give them a valuable skill. When you help a child learn to love reading, you open the world up to them. Let's begin with attendance. Please establish Lead to Read KC as part of your weekly routine. Showing up for your student each week is huge. Block off your calendar as soon as you're assigned a day and time for your reading sessions. In fact, if you know your reading schedule today, please hit pause and block off your calendar right now. Of course, absences happen. So when you know you're going to miss a session, be sure to notify your site coordinator and classroom coordinator. Their contact info will be sent to you prior to your first session. Look for carpooling opportunities. Parking is limited, and a carpool also will keep you accountable to your student and your fellow volunteers. When you know you'll be absent, please take a minute to write a note to your student. It be something simple like, "Dear Miguel, sorry I can't make it to our reading session today. I had an unexpected meeting come up. Keep working hard. See you next week. Your buddy, Tom." You can send the note with a friend or colleague or email it to your site coordinator or classroom coordinator. You'll be amazed at how powerful this simple gesture can be. It tells your student they're important to you. It fosters accountability, and they read it. Arrive about 5 minutes before your session begins. Some schools require identification, so please bring your ID and Lead to Read KC lanyard. Check in with your site coordinator or classroom coordinator depending on your school. If you're running late, please notify your site coordinator or classroom coordinator. Your student will be happy to see you. Now you're ready to get started. Volunteers enter the classroom as a group. The first thing to do is look for your student and go to where they are sitting. This is a good opportunity to model appropriate meet and greet skills. Make eye contact with your student. Shake hands or fist bump each other and say hello, addressing your student by first name. Ask your student to do the same. If your student is absent or you're an extra, please hang back and wait for the teacher or classroom coordinator to pair you with a student. We appreciate your flexibility. Your role as a volunteer is to support the teacher. Wait with your student for the teacher to welcome the group and announce a reading concept, such as comprehension, fiction and nonfiction, or fact and opinion. Focus on that concept during the session. For example, the teacher may ask your student to find facts and opinions in the books you read. Once the teacher has finished, you are ready to read. The next module will give you specific tips to help your student improve basic reading skills. Don't worry, you're not expected to be a teacher or a professional tutor. Every student is expected to come to the reading session with at least 3 books and sight word flashcards. You can engage your student in the reading process by encouraging them to hold the book and have them point to the words. Sight words are common words students are asked to recognize on sight because they appear in everything they read. Helping your student learn sight words is a valuable part of your reading session. Begin the reading session by reviewing 3 to 5 sight words using your student's flashcards. Have the student find the sight words in the books you read together. A child who knows sight words will quickly feel like a successful reader. Decoding is how a student learns to pronounce a word. Be sure to point out rhyming words to help reinforce letter sounds. Let your students see your mouth to watch how you're forming words and sounds. Ask your student to find the vowel in a word. For example, in the word candy, ask them to find the A and pronounce that sound first. Then you can help them add other letter sounds. Also, help your students sound out a word by finding small words hiding in big words. For example, the word package has two small words in it, pack and age. And call attention to common suffixes such as ing or ed. Knowing the sounds of these word endings will help your student pronounce longer words. Reading fluency is the ability to read text accurately, quickly, and with expression so that it flows. Young readers are developing fluency each time they read, and you can help. One highly effective strategy is for you to read a short passage to the student. Then invite the student to read that same passage with you, in unison. And finally, ask the student to reread the passage to you. Practice this once or twice during your reading session. Children develop fluency when they have many opportunities to practice. Comprehension occurs when a student understands and relates to what they read. The best way to improve comprehension is to ask questions before, during, and after reading. Use the questions on this slide and check out the resources slide at the end of this presentation for additional questions. A child's vocabulary grows every time they read. Here's how you can help. Pronounce and practice unfamiliar words and provide child-friendly definitions. For example, the word climate may be unfamiliar to a child, but the word weather is familiar. We hope you find these reading tips helpful. Please remember, you're a reading mentor. You're not expected to be a teacher or a professional tutor. Engaging with your student will help your reading sessions go smoothly. Here are a few basic tips. Set clear expectations with your student. We're here to read. And don't hesitate to call on your teacher or site coordinator with any questions you have. We're here to support you. Take a couple minutes each week to talk with your student. Look around the room for posters and word lists. These are great conversation starters. Ask your student about their day, not how was your day. The resources slide at the end of this training includes a list of meaningful questions to ask your student. Please check it out. Some children will take more time than others to open up and trust you. Talk about your job, hobbies, vacations, and what you like to read. You're a window to the world for your student. If your student is having a tough day, remember, the student's behavior usually is the result of something that happened earlier in the day that you can't control. Your role is to provide an enjoyable, productive reading session. Be patient and ask questions to get your student's mind on something new. For example, something as simple as asking your student what kinds of food they like could change their focus. This may be a day when you'll be doing most of the reading, or you could ask your student to take turns reading with you. When you're working with more than one student, it's important to set expectations and create an environment that supports both students. Position yourself so you're not blocking either student from participating. Take turns reading passages or pages. To keep both students engaged, ask the student who isn't reading to summarize what the other student just read. A common situation you may come across is your student bringing the same book to your reading sessions week after week. If you can tell your student has memorized the book, ask questions about the plot and characters, something new they learned from the book, or ask them to create an alternative ending. With your student, choose a new book from the classroom library or ask the teacher for a recommendation. You're welcome to bring books from home or the local library, but please do not give books directly to your student. You may give them to the teacher for the classroom library. Many of our students are just learning the English language. They're called ESL, English Second Language, or ELL, English Language Learner. When working with these students, please remember to speak slower, not louder. Act out words. Consider using your phone to find a picture to illustrate a word. Draw a picture or have your student draw a picture of a word, and don't rescue your student. Wait for them to process what's being read. Many ESL and ELL students go through what's called a silent period when they're simply afraid to speak. Be patient. Often a lead-to-read volunteer like you is the first person these students feel comfortable talking with and reading to. Now we'll talk about wrapping up the session. The teacher will signal the end of the session. This is your opportunity to model an appropriate goodbye. First, thank your student for reading. Walk your student back to his or her desk and wait for them to be seated. Model the behaviors you'd like to see, such as pushing in chairs and quickly tidying up. Use the student's first name when you say goodbye. And be sure to encourage your student to keep reading. As a volunteer, you have an obligation to report concerns about your student's safety. If your student tells you something concerning, or you notice something, please wait until the session is complete and tell your site coordinator. You'll be asked to send an email to your site coordinator explaining your concern. He or she will make sure it's shared with the school administration, who will take appropriate action. It's always better to report than wish that you had. All volunteers must read and sign the Code of Conduct. Your role is simple: to model positive behavior and help students improve reading skills. Here are some important reminders. Do not have a child sit on your lap. Do not contact your student outside of the Lead to Read KC session. Do not take photos of students. Show respect. Avoid criticizing students, parents, or teachers. Do not give your student gifts or lend them money. Do not post anything about your student on social media. And do not work with the media without clearance from Lead to Read KC. Please contact your site coordinator with any questions. Thank you so much, not only for completing this training, but for everything you're doing to improve childhood literacy. Please remember, your weekly attendance is appreciated, and it's essential to help your student improve their reading skills. Also, please follow us on social media to keep up to date on our program, including school closings due to weather. Thanks again, and have a great year reading. Together, we are creating a community of readers, one lunch hour at a time. These resources include many helpful techniques and tools for you to use in your reading sessions. Be sure to check them out.